Before I start talking about West Ham and the Liverpool game and whether we're going to survive this season and all the rest of it, I've got a very important message because I want you to touch yourselves up. But not in that way, because all our videos for the remainder of the week are done in conjunction with the Dylan Tombides Foundation. It's very, very important that you check yourselves. Gentlemen, please do. Do you know what the best time to do it is after a bath. Check for anything suspicious. If you feel anything that's not meant to be there, and I don't mean your dinkle, go and see your GP. Doesn't matter how embarrassed you are about it. It doesn't matter if you'd rather keep it to yourself. In these things, time counts. You'll go down to your GP, and whether you're sure or whether you're not sure, your GP will arrange an ultrasound scan for you. It's quick, it's easy, and it's not as embarrassing as you might think either. So, keep checking. Not while you're watching this video. Don't fondle yourself while you're watching this video, please. Of course I jest, but it is very, very serious indeed. Anyway, on to the less serious matter of West Ham. Alas, folks, I do not come to you with humble pie today, unfortunately. It was close. It was close, and I was looking delighted to start talking about our win at Anfield, and then delighted to talk about our draw at Anfield. Alas, it's a loss at Anfield, but I think a glorious loss, if indeed you can have such a thing. I think circumstance has forced some decisions on David Moyes, in particular the four at the back. I just hope that he sticks with this. So for the last, since the Man City game, I've certainly been guilty of speaking a lot about the, about the goal difference, about going out and trying to play to not concede many goals. And before this game, Gio had alluded to the fact that a 1-0 loss would not be a bad result for West Ham. Well, we got that, didn't we? You know, on balance, that's it. The net result is exactly the same. But it feels so much better to get a 3-2 loss than a 1-0 loss. And I do wonder what the plan is going to be now for the rest of the season, because he's given a little bit of a blueprint. And he clearly wants players that are going to play for him. So there are certain players that I just feel are going to miss out now. So looking back at the team, Fabianski, he's made some mistakes. That's not an issue at all. Unless he would continue to make them. I don't think he will. He's such a good keeper, such good reflexes, such good positioning. I think it speaks a lot for how good he is and how good we were, that Liverpool really relied on us making mistakes so as they could get points from the game. Anyway, they go on, they win the league, they get everything they want, but we get a bit of confidence from this. But who's going to feature in the team for the rest of the season? I think this is the interesting one here. Ngakia, what a performance from that young lad. I don't know when Fredericks is back. Do we think he's missing for the rest of the season? I think he might be. Even if he was back for the last game or two, I think if Ngakia had kept the position for the remainder of the season, up until that point, I don't think he'd come back in. I think he'd continue to play him. If we get one more performance from Ngakia like that against Southampton, I don't think that Zabaleta will play again for West Ham. Now, unless we're safe before the last game, of course, he gets some emotional thing and Moyes brings him on for the last 10 minutes or something sentimental like that. But it is key to this that Moyes sticks with the four at the back. I cannot stress it highly enough. We've now seen, if you look at it, we won against Bournemouth. Okay, we were beating Brighton. We were beating Brighton 3-1 with the four at the back. Then he switched to whatever you want to call it, with the three centre backs or whatever you want to call it. And then we drew 3-3. But at the point where we played four at the back, it was going very, very successfully. We've now gone with four at the back. Yes, we've lost, but it looked good. And we did carry an attacking threat. He put a little bit more pace in there. I know Anderson didn't play particularly well, but he did carry the ball forward, which allowed us to maintain those tactics. It's really important Moyes sticks with this. Sometimes you just stumble on something. You've got to go with it. I hope Moyes is not so stubborn that he just wants to revert back to the tree. But I think Ngakia, he keeps his place in the team. I think Diop, who I thought was magnificent, and Ogbonna, they're building a real partnership that has to be allowed to carry on and flourish. But what is important, if you're going to carry on with this partnership, it is important that you do it within a similar system. It's no good carrying on playing Diop next to Ogbonna if you're going to switch between 3 centre-halves and 2 centre-halves. Leave them be. Let's keep the same team. I said this when we did the when we had the winter break. I said it's really important that we practice and drill one formation and stick to it. This has to be it now. The stats show us that the 4 at the back is better for us than the 3 at the back. All right. Gio suggested that maybe the lack of Fredericks has forced the issue because he feels he can't play Zabaleta as a wing-back. Maybe. If it has, great. Let's do it for the rest of the season. So let's keep those 2 centre-halves in place, and it's got to be Cresswell. I mean, you could make the argument. It's very, very hard to say who's going to play for West Ham again and who isn't, because you don't know if we're going to be safe or not. I'm certainly carrying a lot more positivity about it than I was before. But if Cresswell nails this down, I don't know. Masuaku's on a 5-year contract. It's difficult to say, but following recent performances, I'm not overly keen on Masuaku coming back in. It has to be said. Declan Rice has been so consistent now. It's one of the hardest things in the game to be consistently brilliant, and I do think he is. I think he's a wonderful player. I think we have to stay up to keep him. I think if we go down, obviously we lose him. I think even if we stay up, we're possibly losing him anyway. He's that good. He's absolutely brilliant. And even Moyes has indicated that he wouldn't be averse to selling him if he got 90 million. I don't think he'd get 90 million. Not yet. I think another season of him performing like he's been performing the last 6 or 7 games, I think you might. But anyway, I think it's important for Declan Rice to carry on in that form because he's going to want to keep representing England. But obviously, he stays in the team. And I think Souček stays alongside him. Now, we don't know what's wrong with Souček yet. Maybe you will. I'm recording this, whatever bloody time is now, half 11 at night or something like that. You may well know. By the time you look at this video on the Tuesday, you may well know how serious the Souček situation is. How typical West Ham is that, though? We get this player in. He looks commanding. He looks dominant. He looks really building an excellent partnership with Declan Rice. Gets an injury because partnerships are important. You know, look what I just said about the 2 centre-backs. They build a partnership. 2 central midfielders, Rice and Souček, build a partnership. Felipe Anderson back with Cresswell, give him a chance to build a partnership. So on and so forth. So I think they're there. The one in front, the third midfielder, I think is... I almost feel bad saying it, and it's a funny one because there are probably not too many clubs where you've got a servant like Mark Noble, who's played so well and has been as loyal as he has. So probably not too many people, when they're discussing their team for the rest of the season, feel bad about leaving someone out. But I do. But I just think the game is passing him by. And I feel if you're playing a midfield 3, which we are, if we're going to play that 4 at the back, we're playing a midfield 3. Neither Rice nor Souček are quick. We know Souček covers the ground. He eats up the ground. He's run more kilometres in any game for any West Ham player in the last 6 years. We know that. This is the new stat. It's very good. It's very impressive. But he's not blistering fast. And there were a couple of times, as well as Rice and Souček played, where Wijnaldum and Keita ran beyond them because they were just quicker. So I would look to play somebody else in there. If it was just the running thing and it was just the legs thing, I would think, okay, Noble's fine. But Noble's passing's been poor. I don't know the stats. I've not seen the stats. They look poor. He looks to be increasingly making a lot of sliding interceptions. As he becomes more desperate, they haven't really yielded a card yet, but I almost feel that there's a red card coming because he does like to slide in. So I'd probably change that up. At the moment, I'd give it to Fornals because he's come in and he's scored. But Fornals, you want a bit more pace, and I'll put Lanzini in there. But I'd certainly change it up. And I think Souček, if he's fit, and Rice have to go in there. The other one is up for grabs. In the wide positions, I'm going to play Felipe Anderson there. because just he gives us pace. I think he makes everybody push back a bit. That being said, I thought it was a terrible performance in the first half from Felipe Anderson. It was awful. I've just done my my player ratings video for the patrons, my patrons video, and he has scored very, very low. I thought it was as bad as we've seen. But he's had a couple of games out. He's coming back. I did think in the second half, he was much better against Liverpool. Not only that, there was a point where he dribbled past 3 players. We don't have many players at all that can dribble past 3 players at pace, and he can. He needs to inject some more confidence into him, because he's got to have the confidence and belief that he can do it. Don't half try and dribble past players. Don't half pass. Don't half challenge. Get in there. Someone needs to get inside of his head. If we had other people that could do that job, I would say fine. But we can't keep putting out these slow teams, and he does give us pace. And if you're going to play Antonio in the middle, which I think we should, and then you've got Ngakia there as well, you're starting to inject some pace into the team. As I've just said, I would absolutely play Antonio up front instead of Haller. I'm not sure how many games Haller is going to play for West Ham. I don't think he suits what David Moyes wants to do. Again, I always say it's hard to judge if we get relegated. Is he going to hang around in the Championship? Probably not. Would he like the hustle and bustle of that? Probably not. But he would find he would be significantly better than a lot of players in the Championship. But I also think if we stay up, Moyes is we're going to retain Moyes as manager. That much will be clear. They won't change him. So I don't think he sees him as a viable option. He's just not mobile enough, I'm afraid. Perhaps not for this league, as I say. Certainly not for David Moyes. So I would continue to play Antonio in that position. And it just leaves that right-hand side. And then this is a funny one, because Snodgrass's work rate and his endeavour is very, very good. And his deliveries are good. But as we've also seen from that first half against Liverpool, when Anderson took a corner, his delivery was very good as well. So I think if you take both of them out of the team, it's like we saw in the second half against Liverpool, when both Anderson and Snodgrass were not on near the end, then the deliveries were a lot worse. It's a tough one, and I'll be interested to see this would be it, because it's all very well saying you'll shoehorn Jarrod Bowen in anywhere. Don't. Here's the question. If we're going to play with this formation, which is basically 4 at the back, 3 in midfield, 3 up front, or whatever, 1 up front and 2 wide, there's no point saying you're going to shoehorn Jarrod Bowen in as a striker to take Antonio's place. It just won't happen. That's not where he played, and that's not where he played for Hull. He plays as a right inside forward or a right winger. So the question, and I'm undecided. I can't quite decide yet. I think I should go with Bowen, but Snodgrass is offering a lot of endeavour and a dead piece delivery. So my question to you is, and this is what I'd be interested to know in the comments, bearing in mind with that formation, who are you going to play? And don't bottle it. Don't go putting Bowen on the left or anything like that. Who do you play on the right? On the right of Antonio in our attack, Jarrod Bowen, or do you play Robert Snodgrass?